Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on a new compound setup for the 2007. A little bit torn. We have a lot of options. We have HE351 with a GT55, 472 Steed, GT55, 480 Steed, GT55. Not really sure yet, but one thing I do know is for sure, we gotta go ahead and pull the HE351 off of this truck. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by doing that. So we have a blank canvas, get this manifold pulled off, and kind of see what we're up against as far as space constraints go and parts availability. Blank canvas time. Let's go ahead, pick a manifold, get a 472, 480 on there. Let's get a GT55 in here and kind of see what it's gonna take to make it work. Exploring some options here. This is the Comp T6 with a 480 on it right now, and then I guess the GT55 would kind of go right here. I'm gonna get it set in and kind of see what we're working with, because we also need to be able to get an air filter on it. So the pros of this setup is large single, we just swap that out for a 488, run the hood stack, we're golden. The cons of this setup, well, I guess in the other pro is you get a better exhaust manifold. The cons of this setup is the turbo is really far out. You guys see that? Like it's really far that way. But the nice part is we can definitely get our hot pipe. Basically, it'll do a really tight 180, come up this area for the GT55. We honestly could even go up and over, but I'd prefer not to do that. And then our high pressure discharge side can go over and into the intercooler. And then, you know, obviously we'll be able to swap it pretty easy. All right, so Comp T6 480 GT55 does not look like it's gonna work. I might be able to tuck it in here in this fender, but just not sure the juice is worth the squeeze. I really don't want to lose the fender liner. Just makes a freaking mess. But then the full send it part of me is like, it'd be pretty cool. So that's kind of where we're at right now. You guys can see it's pretty tight. Ideally, what we need to do is move this turbo back, but I don't see it happening, because then you got, the further back you go, the closer you get to this air conditioner line, which you can bend out of the way or get a kit, but I really don't want to deal with it. So I think what we're gonna try next is a T4 angled steed speed and potentially T4, T6 adapter. Okay, so I slept on it, got here, pulled the T6 comp off, put a T4 angled wastegated manifold on with a billet T4, T6 adapter, and now we have the room I think we need. Looks pretty good. I'm gonna play around with it a little bit, but I think this will work. Now, since I'm here fabbing this pretty much Han Solo, I put the old interstage, which looks like it'll actually work pretty well, on here to kind of hold it, so then I can figure out the hot pipe. It'll basically come down and then meet up with the turbine housing down here. So we'll go ahead and start working on the really tight 180 to kick it down here and go from there. So we're gonna start, this is a flange that we had laying around for the Marmon, and then here's our tight 90. Now we gotta figure out the distance that we have to cut this down to. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tack this up with a MIG real quick so we can get this on and see where it needs to sit, so we can figure out where we need to cut this to run our next 90. Now I got the flange hooked up there with a 4-inch, loosely there. You guys can kind of see, looks like we just need a tight 90 and pretty much be ready to go, I think. Okay, so we have our hot pipe fully tack welded, set up, ready to go. Now we're just gonna go ahead and burn this in. I'm gonna TIG weld it just because I want the practice, a little less slag. So yeah, not too bad. We're about 5-6 hours into it. A lot of it was just trying to get it set up right, And now we can burn this thing in. One thing I have learned with these flanges in recent times is make sure you clamp them to whatever you're gonna do and then weld them, or else it'll bow the flange. So just kind of something to think about. Go ahead, get this flange TIG welded on here. Okay, so I actually finished up with the MIG, and the reason why, I ran out of tungsten on the TIG, so I don't know which one's the correct one or not, so I didn't really want to break anything. But we have our 115 housing on here, fits in there. I'm gonna just let this whole assembly kind of cool off. That way nothing warps, changes, anything like that. So we'll just let it slowly come back to room temperature. And then over here, we got the GT55 up and out of the way. And basically what I'm gonna do now is pull the manifold off, pull the turbine housing off, and basically go through and put all the gaskets in, torque the manifold down, because I think we're about ready to go. That way we're making good use of our time. And now we know what manifold we need. We need to change the adapter. We can also work on the hood stack for this, because basically the whole point of this compound setup was I wanted to be able to run a T6 manifold charger so I could quickly go from large single to large compounds. All right, we got the manifold on, torqued. I put studs in. These are from OptiTorque, power driven sells them. If they work, awesome. If they don't, there's a lot of money down the drain. All right guys, so we got the adapter in place. Like I said, I torque it to 39 foot-pounds. I've never really seen these back off too much. I don't know if it's because there's a gasket or they absorb the vibration. But the only thing I will tell you is make sure you run the threads by hand, and then also check the depth on these pigs. But there you go. As you guys can see, the whole thought process, I called Cody Fisher over at Fire Punk, and he also had a very valid point. But my thought was a non-comp T6 has the same dimension runners as a T4. And then this is nicely ported, much like you'd see inside of here. So I thought it was minimal. And then Cody also made a valid point that there's probably more velocity now with this as well. So all in all, I think it'll work just fine. The big thing that you guys want to do is make sure these bolts are flush or below. That's why I had to shorten mine. They weren't sitting flush, because you don't want it to have a leak out of the gasket. As you guys can see, we're good. With these Keating ones, they're a little close to the edge, but these are the best that I've found. Now for everyone, yes, you could gasket match, blah, blah, blah. I'll have to test that back to back. I've actually never seen it do anything. Not saying it can't, but from what I have seen, it didn't do diddly squat. So now we're gonna go ahead, get the rest of those studs put in, and get our housing and our hot pipe in. Now that we got our 115 housing on, I'm gonna go ahead and just tighten this down. I don't think this is gonna have to come off again, but as long as you don't get the gasket hot, I've found that you can totally reuse those. Even after you've got them hot, I've been in binds where I have reused these MLS T6 gaskets. Big thing is obviously just make sure that it's not blown out or anything like that. I would say probably after the second use though, they definitely are pretty flat, but I'm sure everyone's got an opinion on that. So I'll go ahead and get this tightened down. Okay, so we got the hot pipe fully bolted in, or you know, you guys know what I mean. We got a little clearance on the fender. Now, I was able to actually find a bellow so we can work on the wastegate, and we can also work on the support. This is a really heavy turbo. Normally what Myra and I do, we run an extended stud from the back of this flange here to the block. I think we'll work on that first. Realistically, the exhaust is just going to be a hood stack. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just going to end up being a hood stack on this setup, because realistically we should have kicked the hot pipe further down, but I was worried about the wastegate. So anyway, a little bit more forethought maybe would have helped, but I was getting to the point where we had to make some progress. And then the intercooler pipe will fit, so let's go ahead and check. Let's get this light down. Let's go ahead and make sure the hood shuts. I think it will. Yeah, we got room. So now that that's done, and the hot pipe, really the hot pipe sets pretty much everything else up. So now that that is done, we can go ahead and start working on all the other pipes. Got our support bracket there. You guys can see, still got room for the oil drain line, oil filter. It's a little kicked too close here, so it'll move over a little bit, but plenty of clearance. It's a piece of angle iron that sits on the block, so I only have to use one bolt, and then I cut a little notch in this one, and it slips here with the nut on the other side of this stud, just like so. Be plenty to brace this thing. I usually weld these on the truck. Reason why, that way they don't move. After this is done, we got to pull the hot pipe back out, pull the turbine housing off, pull the hot pipe back out. I got our hole marked for the wastegate entrance, so we'll have to hole saw that out, and then we can finish up our wastegate pipe. Kind of slowly keep working. Okay, so we got our support bracket fully welded. Now we're gonna go ahead and pull the hot pipe out so we can drill our wastegate pipe, our hot pipe back in with the hole in it for the wastegate. So now what we got to do is basically take that to this. Now, I'm not gonna say it's janky, but the way I'm gonna do it is basically it flanges on here and it's welded into the hot pipe here. Probably not the best way to do it, but I just don't have everything I need to do it where it bolts in twice. So the plan is just to 90 out of there, run a flex pipe here, and basically get a nice angle. I drilled this kind of like this, so that way it kind of had some good flow to it. So we'll match this pipe to kind of fit the contour here. Wastegate dump into the hot pipe. As you guys can kind of see here, pretty decent on the flow side of things. Kind of feeds straight in there. Shouldn't be too bad. This is a Vibrant bellow. Luckily for me, boss had one laying around. And you know what they say, in stock. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the hot pipe off so I can fully weld the dump pipe here. Here is our full hot pipe with the whatever that thing is called, I can't remember at the moment. Fully welded. We go ahead and set this on, put our turbos in, and we can work on the interstage pipe, which again, for those of you guys that don't know, that's the pipe that goes from the big turbo feeding the little turbo. And then we have the high pressure side, air filter, hood stack. I promise you guys it goes a lot faster from here on out. And here she is all hooked up. Thing is not going anywhere. Let's get the GT55 put on here. Let's get the 480 put on here. And we can finish the last bit of the piping. Got her all together. cut this pipe. Now we just need to measure to make up the difference here. Also, gonna take this time, make sure the hood shuts before we get too far along on this. We got our high pressure side done. This guy, we're just gonna send for right now. It's a little off, but we're actually gonna get a 4-inch V-band and V-band these together. Just, this is gonna have to work for the time being. Our air filter setup, we're probably just gonna try to find one that fits here, or just 90 down, go down here. But we really don't need the air filter on just a second. And then our hood stack will just be a very tight 90 that comes up. I might try to hit this hole. I might just blow another hole in it. I'm not too sure yet. But we're gonna go ahead and pull this pipe out and get it finish welded. New day. Decided to spend some time with the family today, so we're getting a kind of late start on it. But I made it count because last night we got everything painted. So that way when I came in today, it would be dry. A little bit of run right there, but not the end of the world. That'll be on the bottom. So we got all this done. Basically now what we can do is go ahead and put these, oh, here's the hot pipe. And I'm sure I'll get this in the comment section. Flame proof flat black on the hot pipe. And then the this stuff is the metal cast blue color. Over at the metal cast base coat. And then over here we just did Rust-Oleum gloss black. Okay, something I do that you don't have to do it this way, but I find it easier, is as I go through, I'll hook up the oil feed, oil drain lines. I do that because you kind of know where the hot pipe's gonna be at, you know where this pipe's gonna be at, and it's a lot easier to get at all these fittings. This one's a little questionable. I'm not sure if this one's gonna work out quite how I wanted it to, but we'll let it sit there, see where the hot pipe's at, and move on. I also tighten up the wastegate, and basically anything I start to cover up, I like to double back and put it back in. That way, when it goes time to finish this thing up, you don't have to worry about any loose ends, fighting the turbos, anything like that. Kind of like this block heater that I removed. I don't even remember why, but just stuff like that makes life much easier because it's all apart. Okay, so change the plans a little bit. I decided while everything was apart, Maya and I are going to a competition. So I went ahead and fabbed up the single turbo hood stack. Nothing fancy. Looks like I'm gonna have to put another freaking hole in the hood. All right, so I've done a lot of sketchy stuff in my life up to this point, but we're gonna attempt to do a patch on the hood right here in hopes to give it some structure back after I just blew another hole in it. So we'll get this welded. This will probably be pretty entertaining, so I'm gonna figure out a way to get you guys set up here. Not my best work, but the hole is patched, pretty solid. I kind of tried to hammer it out. Like I've always said, guys, this thing is not gonna win any beauty contests, but it's all right. We'll move on from here. I don't think we'll paint this until we get done destroying the hood here. And then from there, we can paint it. Now, unlike traditional Garretts that are ball bearing, this VS Racing is actually journal fed. So we're gonna take this Garrett fitting and enlarge it quite a bit, put it on with a fresh gasket, And we have our turbo drain in. Everything's tight. We had to adjust this breather here. We'll just have to put it somewhere else because it runs too close to the pipe. Not a big deal. I also thought about maybe running like a street 90, see if it'll clear. If not, we'll run push lock off that hose to a -10 push lock there, kind of like that. But either way, that's the small part of our worry. So I'm gonna go knock this out. Make sure you plug your steed speed holes before you put it on. That was a fight, but let's go ahead and fire this puppy up. And the hood stack's not done, but I kind of just want to see if we have any glaring leaks or anything like that. So we'll just kind of let it sit and idle over there. Little nervous. Here she goes. Well, no leaks, no turbos going kablam. So let's go ahead and get started on, I don't know yet. I don't know if I want to do the inner stage or the hood stack, but I guess realistically either way it's got to be done. So let's pitter patter. Okay, full disclosure, a lot of time has passed, but I felt like this video was probably getting a little boring for some of you guys. So we skipped some steps. We have our hood stack ready to go here. Looks great. And yeah, just gonna get this tacked in and I'll show you guys the rest. We made the adjustment on the crankcase breather to the back one. Moved this one around. Honestly, it works out better now because you can get to the oil fill and oil dipstick. We clearanced the hood with a hammer. And we're just waiting for the hood stack to dry. We'll kind of cover up those nitrous ports. We should be good to go. Okay, we got it all fixed up here. She is tightened up. We just did a double check. That spooled up so nice. So nice. But here it is. Even got our nitrous lines back in there. Ready to go. Just, there's a lot going on down there. We'll have to play that in reverse. So here we are, going home. As you guys can see, really not bad. Not bad at all. Just kind of roll into it. You can stay pretty dang clean. This is definitely wish we would have had room for a downpipe, and I might try to reconfigure it, but all in all, this is pretty damn good for a hood stack truck with these big turbos. That is going to be a wrap on today's video of the compound fab. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, appreciated it. We did it over the course of 4 days. We started Friday night, worked on it a little Saturday, not too much on Sunday, hit it pretty hard Monday, and we drove it home Monday night. It spools up great. You guys saw the burnout video in the parking lot. Phenomenal spool up. It spools up fuel only great, especially with a tight converter. And I put in that clip driving home. That's 55, 56 miles per hour, overdrive locked up, cruise control on, just on my way home out of town. It drives phenomenal. I am thrilled with it. I can't wait. It's right here. I'm gonna end one video and start another. But anyway, we're gonna get on the dyno, see what kind of numbers it makes, see if it's even worth taking to Idaho. The whole goal of this setup is to, in fact, beat Will. It's 1507. I'm not sure if we have the injectors to do it, but we will find out shortly on the dyno here. Honestly, guys, if it did 1450, I mean, really anything over 1400 fuel only, I'd honestly say it's worth it. But other than that, if it ends up working really good, like really, really good, and I'm happy with it, this engine probably won't take too many of these hits. So I have to kind of pick and choose. This is definitely not a long-term compound setup for this engine. However, hopefully we can get either a better engine in the 07, or we will make this the backup set for the 05. Either way, I built it to fit a regular Garrett or the Wu-Tang War Whistle VS Racing like it's in there now. But again, guys, hopefully you like this video. Drop a comment on your horsepower guesses. And as always, guys, subscribe if you're not already, and I will catch you on the next one.